Yes!
Oh, tricked ya!
Big dunk! And before we get into this video real quick, I just gotta say I've been sick the past couple of days, so you're gonna have to do with my froggy voice and no smoking in this video. But if you saw the title of today's video, you know what we're gonna talk about. That is weed addictive? I'm also gonna be trying something where I put some gameplay on the main screen. I'll have my camera like up in a little corner, just, you know, give you guys something more to look at than just me. Let me know how that works. Do you want just the straight camera shot? Do you like the gameplay? Do you want a mix of both? I don't know. Let me know. I'm trying stuff out. But let's get right into it. So if you saw my last video where I was, you know, smoking the whole eighth to the face, and I mean, if you made it through all that way, thank you so much. That was a very disjointed video, to say the least, with, you know, my thoughts and what I was talking about. But I did at one mention talk about how, like, oh, I'm going to make a video talking about, you know, is weed addictive and all that. And then my reason, I did bring it up a bit, but I'm just going to bring it back up now because I feel like it's so valid to talk about. Just like on social media, especially Twitter, I mean, you do see us on Instagram a good bit too, but Twitter is like where you see a lot more weed content, just because Instagram kind of like shadows that stuff away. Twitter, it's all like wide open out. If someone's posting about weed, they might post about their habits, they might post like a picture of a joint. There's always going to be that one person who like quote tweets it and says like, oh, you're a drug addict, blah, blah, blah. And now, while I don't fully agree with them, I mean, you're right to say your opinion whatsoever, but then the people clap back and they'll say, oh, I'm actually not addicted. Weed isn't addictive. You know, it's not an addictive drug. It's not even harmful. And so I feel like, you know, the big problem is, and the big problem that I'm seeing is that, you know, weed has been, for many years now, many decades now, before my time, of course, has been classified in Section 1, Schedule 1 drug, you know, up there with like heroin, crack. You got weed in there. So, I mean, I feel like, you know, for all these years, it's been, like, demonized as a drug, demonized in society. There's been a big stigma put on it. So now you see people really trying to fight back, but I feel like they're fighting back a little too hard, to the point where they just overstate the pros and they understate the cons a lot. And the, you know, talking about, oh, I'm not addicted, that's probably the biggest factor in my opinion. So now, addiction is something that I'm just going to list. I mean, there's probably so many other versions of addiction. I'm just going to list the big two. Is physical and there's psychological. A physical addiction, let's just talk about, you know, for instance, with alcohol. You know, you have neurological issues. You can have seizures, you get the shakes, you get chills and all that. Something maybe not as bad with nicotine. Even like if, you know, you lose your vape, it's uncharged or something. I've been around enough nickheads to know it's not pleasant to go without it. You know, they get a little pale. You can see like the life is like sucked out of their face. They're just constantly tweaking, trying to find ways to get nicotine. They'll go up and ask anyone if they have a nic stick, which is why I'm very happy I never got into that. And then, you know, let's just say with opiates, this is a good one. You know, if you take them, your body's used to, you know, the opiates doing the pain killing. So your body doesn't produce any natural endorphins. Your body is constantly making painkiller, I guess, esque stuff already. And, you know, you would normally be feeling like the tension of gravity on your joints and your bones when you're sitting down, but because our body's creating these endorphins, we don't feel it. Now, if you're taking opiates a lot and you're addicted to that, your body gets so used to it that it doesn't make those anymore naturally. So then when you get off the pills, you're in immense pain. You're just sitting there and you're like, oh, like everything hurts. It's terrible because your body got used to it, and that's the physical addiction aspect. It's like an addiction that has physical consequences on your body. Psychological addiction, that's where weed falls. And that's the one where it's like, you're not going to have physical addictive withdrawals. You know, if you go without it for a while, you're not going to be shaking. You're not going to be hospitalized. It's not going to affect your health in any way. But it's psychologically addictive where either A, it's habit forming, or B, it's something where like you feel like you can't do something without it. So for me, the only one that I feel like, the only action in my life that I feel like I need weed for, I don't even need it, but like it really fucking helps. So yeah, I'm at the point where like, that's my addiction, right? Is with sleep. I can go throughout my whole day. I don't need to be stoned. I don't need to get up and wake and bake. I don't need to smoke before my meals to actually be able to eat. I don't need to like smoke to actually like, you know, be able to go throughout my day without hating everything. And I also want to say another thing real quick. I should have mentioned this earlier. This really only pertains to rec users, because if you're a medicinal user, yeah, you're going to be using every day because that's your medicine. That's what you're supposed to do if you're on medicinal weed. I'm not medicinal. I feel like a good amount of people watching this are not medicinal. We're rec users out here. So this is for the rec users. So So yeah, with me, it's sleep. I've heard a good amount of other people saying, oh, you know, I can't eat without it. So that's where I think the weed addictiveness comes from. It's not so much an addiction where it's like you need to have it, you can't live without it, but it's more so something that becomes such a big part of like your day-to-day life that it just feels wrong without it. And I guess that's, of course, my opinion. That's my experience with it. As I said earlier, I don't need to like do it to eat. I don't need to do it to like socialize with people. I don't need to do it to like feel comfortable. And even with sleep, now I'm not going to sit here and just lie to you guys and say I had an amazing night of sleep my first night when I, you know, had to get off it because of my sickness. Between the fact that my nostrils were just not letting any air in and my brain wouldn't shut the fuck up. Yeah, sleeping wasn't that good, but you know, it only took me like what? I think the second night after was a little rough, but now it's just like, oh, I'll just sleep like normal. Now, another big part, and this is mainly for me, I mean, of course it affects everyone differently and everyone's addicted in their own ways, but a big part for me is like the, I guess, habit forming part, where it's like it becomes part of my daily routine. And I really noticed this actually, you know, if you saw my video, I was showing off the shower tech, for like a month straight after that, every time I took a shower, I would always smoke before it. I'd play my music. I really just love, like, I like being in water, just in general, like in the pool, at the beach, whatever, showering while I'm high. You know, I like water. And so, you know, I just got into that habit of, you know, always smoking a bong right before my shower and doing that. And one, that was probably causing me to waste a lot more water. But two, it's like, we're like, ooh, even like today, you know, I got back from class right now, it's 2:50 p.m. I got from class about an hour-ish ago, and if I decided to take a shower instead of making a video, I would have been smoking at like 1:30, 1:45-ish. And, you know, that's just something where I always try to talk about, you know, saving your use to the end of the night. That's something I usually try to do. But I noticed that when I got into this habit of, you know, oh, every time I shower, I got to take a bong rip. That kind of like broke that, and that kind of got me using a lot more. I feel like I've been yapping enough. Let me just give you the final definitive answer of this video. Is weed addictive? I say yes, but not in the way that like most other drugs tend to be. Like, you know, when you think about an addictive drug, you think about something that like the addiction is so strong that people will throw away their houses, they'll throw away their families, they'll throw away their jobs just to get that high. Now, I'm not going to say that people aren't spending exorbitant amounts of money, and myself included, haven't spent exorbitant amounts of money on weed when they really should have spent it on other things. But it is nowhere near as destructive as other physically addictive drugs because of the nature of its addictiveness, where it's, you know, it's only psychological. And now I say only lightheartedly because, you know, still a psychological addiction is an addiction. It's still something that can, like, you know, mess with your head, and you're going to feel like, ooh, I need this, I need this, I need this. So while yes, I will agree with the people on Twitter that it is not anywhere near on the same level as any of the other drugs it used to be scheduled with, I'm not going to completely agree with them saying it's not addictive because, like, I just laid out the facts. And the fact that, you know, you just see people who are constantly using every day, that's an addiction, like it or not. But yeah, that's about all I have to say. Hope the yap taught you something. Hope I maybe invoked some thought. Let me know your opinion on this down in the comments. Again, let me know how you feel about me putting the gameplay on this. Was it too distracting? Do you want, like, what type of games do you want to see if you like it? All of that stuff. But that's been it from me. Hope you enjoyed. Big Dunk out. I'll see ya. Peace.